we're trying to do is make a business decision, even if it's advertising. We're trying to do what will work for your business. It's not about me. It's not about my ego. It's not about awards. It's about what will work for your product. And what I always do is, you want to sort of be a leader in that process. What I do is I'll show you references of what has worked, because that sets a precedence for what can work. And I'll show you this is possible, this is possible, this is possible, how it's going to get done, right? And basically leave it. But I mean, there are many times we still sell fantastic ideas that client doesn't want to. I mean, it's just one for the team at some point. You just, it's fine if you don't want to take it. I personally believe idea is not the finish now, so we'll find another one, right? And we will answer that. But if not, it's the idea has to be a thought leader, advise them and show them why this is good for your brand. You're supposed to write for the medium. So a billboard, you're meant to write for billboard specifically on the same context of the idea. On the lamppost, you're supposed to do that. The point is to get attention on the context, what you want to sell your brand, so you don't have to do an adaptation. That's very poor way we do communication in Nigeria. What else is, we need to understand that communication at the core of it, right? Something we philosophize a lot about at the hook is communication at the core of it is, I speak, you can hear me.
Hello guys, welcome to another episode of the Creative Radio. And today with me, I have one of the best creative directors in Nigeria in the advertising industry. Welcome with me, JP, guys. Welcome. It's so nice to have you here. It's so nice to have this call with you. And I am sure that everything you're going to share today, everyone who's going to watch it is going to learn something great, because I know you guys do good work at the hook. And I know, and when I see the good works, I'm always like, JP, he has done it again. Right? So, for people who don't really know who you are, can you just give us a brief introduction about yourself and take it from there?
I mean, every time somebody says I should introduce myself, I always realize I'm not sure I know who I am as well. But I'm a human being, of course, obviously. I work in advertising. I like to say I work in advertising without the position. Creative director of The Hook Creative Agency. I am the founder and convener of Creative Block Carnival. Also a part-time lecturer at Auto Academy Lagos. I think I do those three things actively in my life. I think for a living. I like to say that. I execute some of my ideas as a hobby. So I have a lot of ideas. I just like bringing them to life. Full-time career creative. And I think that sums it up. Check me on LinkedIn. I think that's it, really.
That's nice. Okay, so how did you get into the industry? Was this something like, you always wanted to work in advertising, or you just stumbled on the industry, but you found your foot and it just kept running?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. Not to sound cliche, I think that's a question I like to say. I stumbled on advertising. Literally, I didn't even know this industry existed. I just felt like, and then I was here all of a sudden. So so just to say the story real quick, the short of it is, I was in university, and I mean, the girl I was dating at the time was working. She was doing mass comm as a course, right? She was doing mass comm, and she was interning at Leo Bonnet. And then she used to tell me about it. I just sort of understood what she was saying easier, because I've always been a really creative person. So I used to do drama, I used to do other things, I used to write scripts. So when she was telling me, I just sort of always knew how to do what she was saying. Like, say, they give them a task today in the office. I just sort of knew, what if you wrote this? What if you wrote this? I just sort of, it was easy for me, right? And when I was doing drama in university, I always like to go for the edge, do what nobody else has done. And I just really knew how to market it. So I mean, it was the first time I was attempting to do marketing. I just knew 100 ways I could do that marketing. And I was like, this marketing thing is nice. It's easy for me. I like to explore things I think is easy for me, because I think I would just be great at it. So for me, that's my cheat code. I felt like marketing was so easy. I was like, I just have to do this. So mentally, I already had years in my head, right? And somebody said, you could go to school to learn it. Before I miss it, then I saw someone that I still respect in the industry, Oyin. I saw him. I saw he was doing this thing, 100 days of copy and then, right, legendary stuff he did back then. And I was just like, this thing this guy is doing is very nice. And he went to back. I went to back. I was years ahead of me. Like this thing he's doing online is very nice. I want to do it. I think I can do it. And somebody just said, oh, it's called copywriting. I'm like, copywriting? Is it like the legal term or something? I'm like, no, there's actually copywriting. I'm like, oh, okay. So the person told me, oh, there's a school you could O2 Academy. I was like, okay, O2 Academy, cool. And I remember that summer as I graduated, I mean, I did some other things I don't want to mention, but after the summer was done, the first thing, I traveled for a bit. When I came back, I just went to O2 Academy ASAP. All my friends were, they were going for NYC and what. I'm like, no, this advertising thing. Now, importantly, in my advertising journey is I didn't want to do advertising. I always wanted to be a filmmaker. I'm still going to be a filmmaker, keeping this here as a reference, so that when I do it in future, I'll come back and say, oh, I said it on this podcast. So I always wanted to become like and when I told my dad I wanted to do advertising, I was like, "What am I trying to do? Everything? I should just go to film school. What's advertising?" And like, nah, I don't want to be a broke filmmaker. So I want to be so good at advertising that I would use the money to do my film. I think I'm getting there. Actually, I think I'm like 70% close to achieving what I want in advertising, so I could do my film. So watch out. Right? So for me, that was important. So advertising was a means to an end. Right? So it was just, okay, let me go into this state. I knew that at the core of who I am, because of the way I work around things, is if I understand the pattern, if I understand what this thing is really about, if I know it, don't worry, nobody will touch me. I just knew I'll be unstoppable. I have crazy self-esteem, by the way. So, I mean, that happened. Got into advertising, I got into O2, nice family, and all of that. I was just really determined to be the best. We did we did this thing where they're calling agency tour. The agency tour, we did it at Leo Bonnet as well. So, and we worked on the brand lead. I think they gave us a leadway brief then, but they sort of changed it. Right now, I'm just thinking about it because now I work with leadway and I'm just like, crazy stuff, right? A few years ago, I was a student, right? I think. Yeah, that's long and short. I from there got the chance in an agency, worked there for a few months, went to then O2 called me back to teach because I had already done like some small things. Did O2 for 1 year and then I did the hook. And with the hook I've grown. I mean, same thing I just said before about I always knew that if I got the patterns right, I'll be chaotic at it. So that's long and short of my story. I think people always like to hear my story. Is it that interesting?
It's interesting. Really interesting, actually. Because the fact that you, like you said, you might see it like a cheat code for yourself, but I would say it's you recognizing what you can do and going for it. The fact that you can recognize that, oh, I love marketing, I think it comes easy for me. Then let me dive deep into it and explore it more. Then you see that you start creating things, and with the way it comes easy to you, you can just, think of an idea, how to come up with this concept, sell it to the client, talk to them and everything. So now I want to talk about, when it comes to copywriting, right? It's more of conceptualizing. You're coming up with, you're writing something that you're seeing visually. Because in the case of art directors, right, it's like, oh, we think more visually. We are like, okay, how will it look like? How will it come out? But for copywriters, it's more of concept. So for you, how is it like concepting, coming up with, taking that idea from, oh, I got an idea, and then refining it to make sure that it comes out excellent and passes the message across?
Oh, I mean, I think maybe this podcast I'll just be dropping all my cheat codes, but I think is the easiest part of advertising for me. So let me a bit of backstory again. I'd always been a very conceptual person, or small, right? If you ask my brother, my siblings always describe me as I always just had ideas. So I'm the type of person that would just be walking and then like, what is this? I always, my favorite word ever is what if. When I
Oh,
own my
nice.
future advertising company, I'll probably name it What If.
What
But
if?
somebody will have said it now. But I mean, What If is my favorite. I don't believe in a lot of rules, so I've always just seen it like, I mean, this guys, you can change anything you want. So when I
Yeah.
got into, so when I was doing drama, I used to do a lot of what if. What if somebody stood up from the crowd and started acting and ran on stage and made everybody
Yeah.
pause? What if the play started from the ending to the beginning? I just always
Yeah.
wanted to do something nobody has done before. It's my own mental thing. So when I came
Yeah.
into advertising, and I'd done a bunch of art and whatnot. When I came to advertising and I understood the method to the madness,
Yeah.
when I realized that copywriting was not about writing, it was more about concept. I was just like, okay, please hold my beer. I'm about to kill it, right? So yes, I think it's just what I would even advise future copywriters is you must understand what the craft really is. It's not about writing. Writing is the means to fleshing out the words, but it's about concept. I want to see what the industry regards as conceptual. And my own
Yeah.
personal favorite is I look for what has never been done and try to do it. It's a
Okay.
personal motto with me. Everything I do, I try to what has not been done. What can we do?
Yeah.
What looks weird? How can it? And that's been my trick in some of the recent campaigns I've done, even recent pitches, is
Yeah.
we must try to think differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we must. So I mean, concepting is sort of easy for me, but it's also as a result of I paid a lot of attention to what the industry or what advertising regards as conceptual. I have other concept, and I try to form my own too. Sometimes
Yeah.
try to form my what if we did? Has anybody done this? But there's always one smart person that has done it too. So I just recognize the oh yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
recognize a lot of methods.
oh, that is very, very good. That is profound. So let's say you're working on a brand, right? Let's say a brand you, let's say, don't really relate to. How do you still, come up with an authentic and, compelling, let's say, copy or concept for this particular brand?
I think interesting question because I've worked on a couple of things that I had no idea before I went to
Yeah.
it. I've gone for a
Yeah.
pitch for Lush hair, which I probably never used in my life. I've gone for a
Yeah.
pitch for a diaper brand. I've gone for a pitch for I mean oil companies, the most boring companies, the most interesting.
Yeah.
We recently won like three pitches back to back for a cooking brand. I don't think I can mention their name yet because we're trying to keep it low key. But like a
Yeah.
cooking oil brand, we won the first one, won the second one, and I can't cook. But your real question is,
How do you craft a compelling story for this brand, even
yeah,
if don't relate to them like that?
yeah. Getting to that right. I think you must first recognize that you might not be the audience, and that's okay. I think it's sort of wrong where people sort of want to use their you must not be the target. If you're not the target, that's fine too. What your job
Yeah.
as a copywriter, as an art person, is to understand you're like a doctor. So a doctor that has not had HIV before, you cannot treat HIV. What I mean, but that's
Yeah.
an overgeneralization anyways. I'm saying
Yeah.
as a doctor, what you sort of do is you want to empathize, you want to understand enough, you want to research enough. At the
Yeah.
core of marketing is really study what everybody has done,
Okay.
understand the consumers that they are selling to, and then
Yeah.
do it better. I
Yeah.
explain this all the time, right? What is the
Yeah.
core of it? You're working on a Pampers brand, you've never had a baby. Speak to people that have
Yeah.
had babies, have
Yeah.
conversation, find insight
Yeah.
in what they're saying, find
Yeah.
connections of what they're saying, and then
Yeah.
piece it together and create a campaign. But you must also know that you are not your final audience. So you want to go back and test it with the people and say, when you see this, do you understand it? Am I clear enough? Am my words good enough?
Yeah.
And then at the base of it, the most easy, the low hanging fruit to there is you also want to check out everybody in that category. I did a pitch once. I didn't win that pitch. That one paid me, right? I did a pitch once where basically all we had to do, like I was reading up the company. I thought it was boring at the time. I spent
Yeah.
like a day reading up the company. There was no idea. I spent another day reading up the owner of the company. There was still no idea. And
Yeah.
me and my friend were just reading up. So what I sort of do is information overload when it's that
Yeah.
complex. I try to get a lot of information and then I told my friend, okay, we know enough about this. Sell this to me. Tell me why this company is good. And then she started talking, and I started talking. I started trying to sell it back to her.
Yeah.
That's the thing I sort of do when I don't have ideas. I try to sell it to a real person.
Yeah.
Right. And then I sort of listen to what I'm saying to look for a summary.
Yeah.
Like, what is the summary of the way my brain has received this information?
Yeah.
And then we landed at a space. And then we say, okay, that space is good, but it's not good. Right. And we kept on going, and eventually, when we're speaking in between, we just came up with an idea. And I think I was just saying something rambling. She was like, what if that's the idea? And I'm like, what if that's the idea? That is the idea. Let's go. We did one of the most exciting pitches.
Yeah.
Done. I think that pitch sort of changed my. We lost that pitch, but it changed my life in the way I saw pitches. It's changed.
Oh.
I'm like, this is the hack. From now, it is there was just a lot of freedom I had from there, and everything else we won it. But I'm just saying, it was just, it paid me we lost. I'm still saying it. But it was a lot of exposure of freedom, right? And I mentally tested myself on an industry I thought was good, because I mean, at the core of it was just a lot of information overload I did, and then I tried to sell it. Because at the core, what are we doing? We're selling now. What are we doing? That's why I have a lot of angry opinions about like overly creative ads, overly focused on awards without thinking about like the target audience. Because I think you need to understand. Selling to people, human beings. You're selling. Sometimes when I just look at my designer, I'm just like, my father is the consumer of this thing you've done. If he sees this ad, he will not get it.
Yeah.
So you're not communicating.
Yeah.
I prefer ad people that understand what communication is. You must understand what it is. You must understand that at the core of it, your duty is to sell, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, let me not give all those my other angry opinions about Lydia and stuff, but like, that is it. You must understand what your job is. It is to sell. Focus on that. And how you know you're selling. Imagine yourself as a trader. Imagine yourself as a salesman.
Yeah.
And that's why marketers don't raise people in advertising, because they feel like they do the hard work. Advertising people just go and do one big poster and take glory. They're not the ones in the streets. Those people have to really come. Yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
Most of the time, right? The products you think that are popping is as a result of these marketers. And what you have to be as a copywriter is you have to be a marketer. You need to be able to convince somebody that has life problems. His wife is angry with him. He doesn't want to. His job is not paying him. Nigeria is frustrated. You need to convince that person to love your product. So you're not going to get that. You're not going to get through that person with some fancy, unrelatable lines or some creative visuals or somebody floating in the air that doesn't relate to the product. You need to convince your product. That is an argument at that point. And if you so when you see your product and your messaging, not your product, your messaging as an argument, it sort of helps you the way you mentally think about this. And those are some of the tricks. I'm spilling a lot of secrets, but
I mean, thank you so much for sharing this, because even me as an art director, I'm actually actively learning from things you're saying, because it's not only copywriters. Anybody can come up with an idea. Anybody can take an idea, think through it, have conversations with people, speak to the target audience, taking yourself out of the picture, because sometimes as creatives, we want to put ourselves in the middle and feel like, oh, how am I feeling about this and that? But if you really speak to the target audience, you will understand their core pain points that you can use, to now speak to them in a way that they understand. And once they see, they'll be like, oh, this person is talking to me. Okay, I'm going to try your brand. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then they go and do the call to action you put on that creative or on that thing that you wrote. So it's really, really good. It's really profound. So now, how do you deal, with, let's say, clients that don't really, get the flow, or like, let's say you come up with an idea and the copy and everything, and then the client is like not fully understanding how good that thing is. How do you deal with that scenario?
I mean, that's the most common thing in our industry, because I mean, there's a bias towards, when it comes to creative work, everybody wants their own idea. There's also a place of trust and understanding, and I think I have less of those. Why? Because I I do not mentally belittle clients, like, well, except maybe you're
Yeah.
giving me reasons to belittle you. But I sort of believe, for choice of better words, that the client has sense because you know this product more than I do. Now, I've probably spent 1 week or reading up your product, but I don't have as much context as you do about this product. So what I want to do is I want to respect what you're thinking about it, right? And the truth is maybe your idea is not right. I must stand to convince you that what we're trying to do is make a business decision, even if it's advertising. We're trying to do what will work for your business. It's not about me. It's not about my ego. It's not about awards. It's about what will work for your product. And what I always do is you want to sort of be a leader in that process. What I do is I'll show you references of what has worked because that sets a precedence for what can work. And I'll show you like this is possible, this is possible, this is possible, how it's going to get done, right? And basically leave it. But I mean, there are many times we still sell fantastic ideas that client doesn't want to. I mean, it's just one for the team at some time. At some point, you just, well, it's fine if you don't want to take it. I personally believe like idea is not the finish now. So we'll find another one, right? And we will answer that. But if not, it's the idea is to be a thought leader, advise them, and show them why this is good for your brand.
Oh, that's nice. That's really good. Okay, so now, do you think there are some, let's say, Nigerian behaviors and conceptual or cultural truths that you see that most copywriters aren't tapping into enough? When you come across maybe their work or things people do here and there.
Well, when it comes to cultural truth, I think, let me just borrow the philosophy from my mentor. Shout out to Toib. And I think for me is Toib Balogun, for preciseness. I think there's something he always says, and I think it sort of informed the way I saw advertising as well. Because I always knew like most of the advertising that were being celebrated were not working. Right, where they were not working because they were not clear enough. They were just messaging that felt fancy, that sort of entertained the industry, but didn't work in Nigeria. So back to that, I think Nigerians do know we must. Okay, let me articulate my thoughts well. Let me not try and drag anybody. But what I would say is, let me just use this one. I think it's more very low hanging is we do not write for platforms, right? That ancient thing of the big idea and the line must look like, must use the exact phrase of the big idea, and then you will just take it on digital, take it on Lampo, take it up, or take it from. No, you're not meant to do communication like that. You're supposed to write for the medium. So a billboard, you're meant to write for billboard specifically on the same context of the idea. On the lamppost, you're supposed to do that. The point is to get attention on the context, what you want to sell your brand, so you don't have to do an adaptation. That's very poor way we do communication in Nigeria. What else is we need to understand that communication at the core of it, right? Something we philosophize a lot about at the hook is communication at the core of it is I speak, you can hear me. Right, you need to. So English is not very lingua franca in Nigeria. If we're being frank with ourselves, it's more of broken English and broken communication. Because you will see most of the things that truly communicate and convince people have to be grammatically correct in any way. So communication should be more fragmented. It should be more just set of people that understand your English, especially when you're a FMCG or a mainstream product. There are many people that it's not just about adapting to English, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. Like it's much more broken down, right? It's much more broken down. But I think on radio, there's a lot of improvement on that, right? I think that's just it. We don't write for platforms. We do not. We sort of just exist on the imported nature of advertising, which is the way people abroad do it. But we need to come to an understanding that that's not the way advertising really works because abroad you see like a 70% literacy rate, so that means creativity can be more accepted because people are learned. But in Nigeria, a 70% illiteracy rate means a decline in the idea of what is creativity. So the more learned you are, the more accepting you are of that form of creativity. The problem is everybody expects, and you say Nigerian brands are not doing it. Why would they do it? Because because the brand managers know that those ideas won't work anyways. So you'll be giving very learned ideas to a very unlearned audience, and you wonder why you're not communicating. That's why you're communicating, my guys. So
I mean, that answer is great. That's beautiful. So let's say for copywriters, who are growing, who are coming into the industry, or who have been doing it for a while, and let's say, because I heard some things that, some people, they enter the industry, they're like, 3 months down the line, they're like, is this thing really working, this and that, or maybe they're working with someone who is a bit, the process at first will be a bit rigorous, right? Because it's like you're going through a refining process, a training process. And depending on who you work with, it might be a bit tough for you because this person will be like, I'm not seeing this yet. This thing is not flowing, this thing is not going. You need to go back and write it, this and that. So now, what mindset shift would you tell a copywriter to have, right? To make, and the mindset shift for them to see that, you can make it in this industry. And once you put your mind in this space, the sky is even the starting point for whatever you want to do in the industry.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Because one thing with me is I always say I've never needed anybody to tell me I'm creative because my mom has been telling me I was very creative since I was 7 years old. Telling me I'm an artist. So what that did for me, it boosted my ego. I sort of feel like I'm one of the most creative people alive. I sort of joke with myself and say that I'm one of the most creative. And I think failing and advertising, I will still be creative in other things. I'll probably go and do film. If I fail there, I'll go and do art. I would explore everything it means because I feel like as a creative person, you're a wealth of ideas. I'll go into tech, whatever. You're well and you could give out more. So what would I say? With that type of mindset, what it does is I have an ego, right? Why I'm trying to set this is having an ego is really important because you must understand that you are capable of greatness. That's just it.
Yeah.
The reason why you're struggling right now is because you don't have enough information, right?
Yeah.
But what you need to know is the method to having information, right? You need to learn the method. And that person that is saying it harshly is irritated. Trust me, the work, even when you become a senior, you will be irritated sometimes. I know maybe you probably say it nicer than that person is good for you. You're not toxic. But what I would say is you need to understand that what you're trying to do, the core of it is get information. Now, there's something that person knows you don't know. And if your mindset is just, I want to information from this person, so whatever you say, I'm trying to get information, you sort of be able to ignore some things because your job is not, you don't want to work with that person forever now. Probably learn everything you can very fast. Everything the person doesn't like, go learn it and do it the person's way. If that's it, take that from the person, leave the person if they are told they go and learn under another person, take all the information you can. You just want to be a sponge, absorbing because at the core of it, what you're trying to do is get data. This person, when I started my mentor that I mentioned, like every time I try to bring dead, it's not working. One day I just sat down. I'm like, no, it's impossible. Everything is not working. I just wrote. I looked at all the ideas he liked. I wrote it on the board. All the ideas. I looked at the pattern. I'm like, there must be a pattern somewhere. Okay, it must sound like this. It must look like this. It must do like this. After I studied the pattern and I got it, and from there, deadness reduced, right? But one thing, the problem with that is I noticed I started writing like him, and then I was like, no, I had to find my own voice. I had to speak more like myself. But why do I bring this? Because I saw it as data. I didn't see it as somebody was trying to inflate my ego or anything. I saw it as this person's trying to feed you with data. How they feed you with data is going to be a tough process. So just take it as a feedback process is a data collection process. Trying to, if you have to be that youngest creative director or sharpest ad man or that pitch winner or whatever, you need a lot of data for that. You need a lot of what works and what doesn't work, what works and what doesn't work, what are global reference, what are local reference, and that's what's toxic or non-toxic bosses for you. They give you a lot of data to work with. So hang in there, guys. Collect the data. If they are too toxic, collect some data and run.
Collect some data and run to another place, and hopefully that place now is toxic, and then you can keep doing your thing.
But don't be running from everywhere because it's toxic. Stay in one place. You know, so doesn't kill. If they want to kill you, but if it doesn't kill you, stay there.
Yeah. Okay. There's a Medium post you put out sometime, right? And I went through it, and I just want you to touch on it, summarize it, And I feel, because you call it the copywriting like cheat code, and it's
Oh,
titled the sense and stupid cycle, right? How
oh,
you go,
mhm.
let's say, from, your insights to the truth, to the technique, the idea. So can you summarize that particular post? Because I feel like it will really help anyone who is actually, working on a pitch or actively working on a campaign, to come up and create something that is very, very good for the particular brand.
Okay. I think so. That even originated as I was teaching. I'd always known that theory, but I didn't put words to it. I was teaching and I was breaking it down to people, and
Yeah,
then somebody just used that word. I was like, "It's so interesting. Maybe I'll write on it to just articulate the thought, so it even makes my
yeah,
teaching easier. Because I could just tell them go and read what I wrote." But
yeah,
at the core of it, the sense and stupid self, what really is it about? Right. I think one word that changed my life in advertising when I'd gone to O2, I'd worked like in two places, and
yeah,
but I'd not heard this about advertising. I'd not heard at the core of advertising what it had to be, and I'd read books. Is
yeah,
interesting, not
yeah,
creative. Interesting is
yeah,
such a word that you must understand that everything that can be interesting can sort of become an ad. For me, that's where
yeah,
the cheat code starts. Everything
yeah,
interesting can become an ad.
and
What was
yeah,
interesting, though, right? Don't go and say shaking mom. It's me that recommended shaking mom or something. No,
no,
I mean, but
yeah,
look at that potential. That's what it can be. But what is sense and stupid cycle? It's really a research and be interesting theory, right? What it means
yeah,
is advertising. One of the methods to the madness is research, find a lot of data, get a lot of data, understand the brand,
yeah,
understand the consumers, know who you're trying to sell to, do a lot
yeah,
of fact finding, right? The boring stuff, and then
yeah,
become interesting with that boring stuff. Because what you want to do is you want to say basic things in interesting ways, or interesting ways in more interesting ways, or interesting messaging in the more interesting expressions. So
yeah,
where you have to sort of use sense is when you're reading the data from the strategist or you're doing your own personal research, trying to inform
yeah,
yourself. That's a lot of
yeah,
sense you're using, right? I don't know
yeah,
the side of the brain. Use the side as for logic, sha. Then when
yeah,
you want to be creative, you want to be stupid about it. Don't you want to play, you want to laugh, you want to just gash out, just make a lot of noise about that. That's
yeah,
where you're free to be playful, say something trendy, say something nice.
yeah,
That's really what the sense and stupid circle about. There's
yeah,
an aspect in the method of the madness. Maybe I should write about that too. In the method of madness about creativity, there's an aspect of it where you must be very, very logical, and then there's a side about it where you must be extremely creative. So be logical
yeah.
first, then be extremely creative next.
Oh, that's nice. That is
Yeah,
really
that's
good. This thing that you said, I actually also vibe with it, because there was a course I saw on masterclass from the
mhm,
partners of Good Business Investing and Partners, GSMP. Um,
mhm,
and they took us back to, when they started advertising. Because one thing they told themselves is that, the world is already like very serious. So why not create something interesting? Why not, you know, go down the route of, a bit of play here and there and do things? And that was how
mhm.
they started, shooting different videos, and they it birthed their company. And today GSMP is like a very, very big ad agency in California, and they even do like most Super Bowl ad spots. I see their ads, I follow them closely, and everything's just interesting. Like, it's intriguing. You're like, because even the last one they did, like,
Mhm,
a seal with the seal's face, right? And you're like, why is a seal singing? And it's for Mountain Dew.
mhm,
The Doritos ad,
mhm,
the Doritos ad and everything. So it's just how you can, like you said, think logical, but execute in an interesting
mhm.
way, a fun way, something that will make people stop and say,
Yes.
"Oh, this looks good. I mean, I like this," and they get the message still, and they move on with whatever they're doing. So now I know you are a
Yeah.
creative
Fine.
director. What would you say to a copywriter, who comes into the industry and is like, oh, I aspire to become a creative director one day, what are the things the person should really focus on?
I mean, be the hungriest person in the room, right? Don't be the hungriest person in the room. Be somebody that is in love with the job enough to you want to learn other people's job as well. I'm not saying you're gonna take Photoshop, but don't be a copywriter that just knows how to write lines or do TV ads or radio spots. Be a copywriter that is very conceptual. Be a copywriter that understands research enough to appreciate it. So that means you can direct strategy. Be someone that can lead people. Right? Most of these things came very natural to me because I always gather people sharp. But being a copywriter beyond your scope of work, what can you do? Are you responsible enough? COVID, be a responsible copywriter, be a leader, be someone people can look up to. And I think, just do work that you will be happy about. That's what that's what I've gone for. My own happiness with the work I do. But I don't even post a lot of my work. I don't post my work stuff. But do work that will make
So when it comes to leadership, right? When it comes to leading people, I know you lead very young people, right? And I personally, I know some people you lead, right? They're my friends, and we chat and we talk and everything. So how would you say, or what is your own perspective, to leading young people? This age, Gen Zs, people say, oh, Gen Z, they are this, they are not as strong as us. When we were coming up in the industry, they used to tell us, we don't care about mental health, go and do this work. You have to do this, you have to do that. So how do how were you able to go bypass all that, and then lead them effectively?
I mean, one is because I'm not old myself. I think that helps because I'm not old myself. I sort of just look at them as people, not as Gen Zs. And then old people to get wahala jari, and they like to validate toxic mental spaces. Well, is it good that people are having mental breakdown? Is it good that? But that's not my business. I'm not talking about this here. Well, how do I lead a very young team? I think there's a lot of motivation, right? There's a lot of motivation on telling them my style of leadership is very personal. I really know you will gist me about it. I'm very informal. I'm sure you might have seen that here. So I'm very informal. As I'm on Instagram doing TikTok challenges with them, and I believe in a sort of servant leadership. So if I tell you guys who are working overnight, I'm the first person to work overnight. I'm going to be there with you, right? I'm not a work overnight. If we're working overnight, I'm going to be there with you, and I'm going to be petting you, buying food, bribing you. I mean, many times when you buy stuff, I'm bribing. When I want them to do work, I'm bribing them. Like, we have to send me your account number. Let me send you lunch, and they'll be so like, why you always? But I'm like, because I understand it, but and I'm very empathetic with my team because we're human beings. Which day I was speaking with my designer, I was like, do you have a baby? He was saying there's no time to have a baby. I said, I will reduce your work. You must go and date somebody. This type of there's no time to. You want to? That's it. I'm like, nobody will die. Anybody that will die should die. Like, have a relationship, have a life outside. That's what somebody advised me once. That don't make the work your whole life. Don't make your whole life revolve around the work. And I thought about it deeply, and I started creative blog. Right, but core of it, people should not live their whole life around the work, and I advocate that. I try to give my guys really space. But how do I lead them is because I'm very informal. I'm playful enough, but serious enough. So they will tell you, JP is strict though. If you delay his work, but in between that strictness, I'm still your guy. I'm still your friend. You don't want to mess me up because I take this thing personal. And if I've told you I take something personal, you don't want to mess me up because somehow you're my friend, right? So I allow the information, the friendship to sort of filter into work. So if you work directly with me, you will sort of send me reels on Instagram. We could laugh about things. We could tag each other. All my people send me reels, sort of. So friendship helps a lot, and then being able to empathize. The thing that being a creative director, nobody told me about is everybody looks at you as their senior brother. So I mean, I'm counseling people from relationship issues to marriage issues to personal issues. I'm like, how do you think you can tell me all of this? But at the core of it, it's really, I say I've seen almost everybody cry and break down. I'm like, Jesus.
Wow.
For me, I'm weirdo. So I'm always curious, like, so that's how your face is when you're crying. Interesting. But apart from that, it's really you're working with human beings, right? You want to regard them as human beings. You want to respect their time. There's a reason why this person doesn't want to work on Saturday. There's a lot of empathy for me. There's a reason, you're having an issue at home with your wife and you can't come to work. It's a lot of extended empathy. So that's basically how we want to be seen. They're not robots now. People are not just. We live in a capitalist world, but we must respect people, treat them with dignity. So that helps. And that has helped all my Gen Z people because I lead a very young team and they've been doing wonderfully well. There's a lot of motivation of there is something we can become, all of us together. We will become it and you'll be part of that story. But you must understand that this is a process we are in right now. So by the time I give them some small aspire to perspire, all of them, they'll be happy when I can work.
And you get the work done. And I like the fact that, you're open to them and you see them like friends because when I first got into advertising proper working with Joshua Rebele, Josh is also someone that is like a friend to you, so it made me move closer to him because I've worked with people. I've once worked with someone that he sent me a message, right? On WhatsApp, you can even just like the message to show that, I've seen this message and I've received it. Just to like the message, and I like the message, just a normal like vibe, just to make sure that I've seen it. And the next thing I saw was, I'm your boss, you don't like my message, this and that. And I just withdrew myself a bit. I'm like, okay, I mean, since this is the way you want to take it, so let's take it this way, right? So
people exist in the world. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very, very good when you're receptive of people. And like you said, they open up to you more. Things that you even feel like, you're not supposed to be telling me this. They will tell you because they feel safe around you. And the truth is, when you work with a team that feels safe around you, it will be easy for them, to come up, share ideas, talk about things. I feel like we should do it this way. I feel like we should do it that way. Definitely, things will be going on well and things will be going on fine, which is very, very good. Now, let's talk about the creative block, right? How did you come up with the concept and the idea of the creative block? Was this something that has been for, let's say, a long time, but you are not like, okay, I must do this thing, or you just got the idea and you're like, what if we gather creative people? There's music, there's fun, there's food, there's vibes, this and because I attended one last year. I was there and it was like really, really good. It was a good experience for me. Like I really enjoyed it. So how did you come up, that concept and all?
I mean, to God be the glory.
Hallelujah.
So I'm very Christian as well. So I'm very Christian as well. I think one of the ways. So most of my ideas, sometimes even pitches, all these things, heavenly inspired. The angels of my destiny will just plant it in my heart. And I think I was in church and then I just like, wait. Let me say something like a backstory. I mean, I got the idea in church really, but backstory is, I mean, before I became like born again now, and I go to church once in a while. I only used to go to church because that was the only place I used to get ideas. Like, I mean, I used to get ideas, but in church, it's just like boom, 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 boom. There was so much ideas. So, I mean, in between one of those days, I was just in church. I think I was still trying to find my way back into the faith. And then I just had this idea. What if I did this for creative people? And then I had a community I was building, Madmen, a couple of my students from O2. And then I asked, hey, guys, who can plan a party here? I'm thinking of doing a party for a creative people. for a creative for creatives, and then a bunch of them. And then we planned. I planned with my students at O2 at that time. Right, a
Yeah.
couple of them were about 10. So we did like a paint and save. Then the next one did the house party from there. So it was always
Mm.
about creative people. And one time I just got tired. I was like, yo, tired of playing small. We had never
Yeah.
done a major crowd before. We had done the most crowd we had done was 120, and we that was because we organized the football, interagency football, about
Oh,
8 agencies then, right? And me, the reason I enjoy creativity is because of I can bring my ideas to life. I don't enjoy it because of thinking of ideas. I think thinking of ideas is basic. Anybody can do it. I think
yeah.
execution is what should be. That's why it's worshipped, anyways. So I'm a
Yeah.
doer. That's what people used to call me. I'm a
Yeah.
doer. If I say
Yeah.
something, I could do it. And I think
Yeah.
that's an edge I have in basically because of
Yeah.
how I grew up, references and all that. But anyways, back to the story. So I thought about it. Holy Spirit put it in my heart. I'd done a couple of
Yeah.
things. I really wanted a big event. I think I've always wanted to do a big event. The struggle
Yeah.
was I'd never done a big event before. The most I'd done was 120. How do I know I could do it? How do I know I could pull it up? It was a lot of funds.
Yeah.
As God will have it, I had a lot of funds that year from doing PP and whatnot. And then I just thought, see, and the thing coming with doing is you need to risk your money to do. All I see this money and so
Yeah.
I'm going to put it inside this. I'm going to use to buy a car or something, you know. I said I was gonna put it into this, and anyhow it goes, it
Yeah.
goes. And we're like, but
Yeah.
you're risking a lot of money. But I'm like, I don't care, my idea will come to life. So what is failure?
Yeah.
That period. That period I was just turning in my head like, Jesus, what if this thing fails? What if nobody comes? What if I don't get brands? What if and the money was a lot. Right? I think the
Yeah.
first edition was not like 25M. Right.
Wow.
And I was just like, how was I going to do this thing? It's way more expensive now, anyways. So I'm just giving you an idea. And it was just like me with a dream. I mean, I just started trusting God. And like, God, I better help me run. Now you put this idea from my head in. So I mean, eventually it's worked. I had a good plan. I had investigated the idea for at least a year, consulted
Yeah.
a few people. I tried to get a lot of information from everybody. So that means what I did for 1 year was I kept on going for all the events from GT Food and Drink. I'll just look at it and snap
Oh,
it. I'll go around. I kept on going for events. I really just, again, with data, right? I was just getting a lot of data in my head. I was going for events, mainland block party. How are they doing this? How much does it cost? How much does it this? I kept on doing, gathered a good team, and the rest is history. We pulled it off, and then I was surprised. The reception was great. Pulled it off
yeah.
again last. The reception was even more good. The amount of sponsors we even got the first year, we had like about 7 sponsors for a first time event. It was massive. I was like, people were like, I mean, the next year as well, right? We even did way more. Mavians reached out. They wanted to collaborate a couple of people. And this year, it's already going to be very exciting. I already have a few partners. People are already excited for what they want to do. So I think at the core of it, that's really it. It was just a lot of guts and a lot of determination to do. Because I personally want to mark my life by experiences. At this age, I did this. At this age, I started creating. At this age, I became a creative director. At this age, I did my first film. And that's how I just want to color my life with a lot of activities. I don't care about all this. Let me not shade anybody. But I don't care about the things most people care about. I care about the achievements that color my life, right? The things that make me happy, and the artistic things I experiment. So I will keep doing stuff like this. Creative block, I tell people, is just one of the small expressions. Me, watch out. JP the doer.
As in, JP the doer. As in, that is very, very good. That is very, very good. So now, can you just, as we round up, because of our time, can you share some of, let's say, the brands and agency works and all out there in the world, like overseas, not in Nigeria, that actually a bit in a way influence how you do work, so other people can go check them out, learn from them, and become better at what they're doing.
I mean, sort of stick to the conventional. From Nike, just do a campaign that's absolutely brilliant. right? To Coke, Sherry Coke. That's my major reference when it comes to creating something that is shareable. I saw one campaign one time on digital, which was something about a digital tug of war. That was a campaign. They did it on X. That was a campaign that really expanded my mind on digital. I mean, top of my head, why don't I have campaigns right now? But a lot of what these guys are doing globally with out of home, what you're doing with TV, radio, I really love it. I really just I spend a lot of time just going through I love the work, which is really a website for doing cans work really. Sometimes I just spend like 3 hours looking at them. And I think those things really influenced me. They really opened my mind, especially when I was a newbie, about what advertising could be. But I think I remember the first day I saw those type of works, I was like, wait, so you mean there is no box? The only box is the box. That was it. It was like, boom. You mean there is no box? I remember I told you I had been a conceptual person. I done the quiz since it done the taste since I done the quiz. I was like, shit. That's true. So that was it for me, right? So I mean, a lot of all these global guys are really doing dope stuff, like what McDonald's will be doing with their big boards and whatnot. I personally am a very CSR type of person, so in a weird way to put it, like very human-driven campaigns, things trying to save the world and stuff like that. So I mean, those also influence my advertising style. There's always a bit of that here and there. Oh yeah, that's it.
Well, that's really good. That's pretty good. So now, for the final words, what can you give some, like a piece of advice that we and the audience can just, take home from everything we've shared, and how to just, keep progressing, keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get there eventually.
Yeah, I mean, just be hungry, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have eaten already. Don't eat yet. Be hungry, guys. I always tell people, I tell everybody I work with, be hungry. Have a goal in mind. Advertising as an industry really reward people for a lot of years. So if you need to do this while you're young, do it and do it fast. Compete. Try to be the best. Not in an antagonistic way. Try to be in the best in the way that you want to, because you need a lot of value. When you and I like to put it to people, when you do things that are outside your JD and stuff like that, you're not doing it for your employer. You're doing it for yourself. One day you might own an agency. One day you might be in capacity of something. You might be an entrepreneur. You might just be. You need to feed yourself with a lot of value that you know that I'm. So at the core of it, people will pay you for how much value you're giving, and they're not going to pay you if they don't think you're valuable. So build a lot of value. Whether you want to stay in advertising, you want to jump tech, you want to do something else, build a lot of value that anywhere you go, they just need to give you laptop. Even without laptop, you're super valuable. So if you're an art director, don't limit yourself to what you can create a system. If you're a copywriter, don't limit yourself to just writing script or writing lines. Create for yourself. Think about it like that. And let me speak French. Fuck shit up.
That's it. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you coming on here. And definitely I've gained a lot. I've learned, I've been wrote things down here and there. And I'm sure anyone who watch this will actually gain a lot, and they'll become better at whatever they're doing, both even copywriters and directors, because I feel like what you shared, it's not just for copywriters. There are, let's say, cheat codes that anybody in the creative space can, take and then use it to build their own life, use it to build their own career and become better. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate having you here, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
Yeah.